It's become sort of a ritual now. The tale of a flawless murder. I work as a manager at a big company. Every other Friday, instead of heading home after my shift, I dive into something far more thrilling than sitting in front of the TV, watching some dull show. I'm single, no close friends to speak of. That's why I stumbled onto this little hobby of mine. I venture into some random town I've never been to before, checking out its streets, forgotten alleyways, rundown neighborhoods, and sketchy areas. I always pick a perfect spot as my target. I make my way to a large supermarket, preferably one that's known across the state. I park my car in the middle of a crowded lot, surrounded by hundreds of other vehicles. No one's going to notice me. On these days, I like to move quickly, so I don't get stuck with the masses of people rushing to buy groceries after work. I gather the kind of groceries that someone struggling for money would pick. Hot dogs, mayonnaise, cheap snacks, margarine, canned beans, and maybe a frozen pizza. I always make sure to grab a small pack of plastic cups too. That's a key detail. I spread my purchases out over a few different stores. It's safer that way, less likely to raise any suspicion. The centerpiece of this little game of mine is cheap booze vodka. That's the most important part, because it needs to be clear. Once I got all the poor man's groceries, I toss in my special bottle of vodka. Then I hit the road for a short trip. Here's where things get clever. I always buy a cheap, secondhand cell phone. I don't even bother to check if it works or not. I just toss it in the stash of phones I keep in my car. When the time comes, I grab the one I bought the longest time ago, usually a month or two back from some town where no one remembers me anymore. I head out to distant towns, small places where the odds of being recognized are slim to none. There's something about driving at dusk. It sends chills down my spine and makes my heart beat a little faster. When I reach a new town, I smoke a cigarette while the streets gradually empty out, waiting for the silence of midnight to settle in. Then I grab my bag and just start walking, no real plan, no set destination. I'm just looking for them. I usually go down the darkest, dirtiest streets I can find. I'm after the troublemakers, the drunks, the rough guys. And I always find them. Sometimes in just 15 minutes. Sometimes I'm out until 4 a.m., my legs practically giving out from walking around these unfamiliar streets. Occasionally, I find myself looping through the same blocks, or I'll even lose track of where I parked. But none of that really matters. Eventually, they always show up. Usually it's a group of 2 or 7, but most often, it's 3 guys. It always kicks off the same way. I beg them to leave me alone, sometimes even squeeze out a few tears, pleading for mercy. But, as expected, they grab the cheap phone I pull from my car stash, and of course, they take the bag of groceries too. A few times I've taken a hit, usually to the nose, jaw, or right under the eye. Feeling satisfied with their haul, they vanish into the dark alleyways, taking my bag and phone with them. I stand there watching them disappear into the shadows. After that, I make my way back to my car. The vodka bottle I slipped into the bag looks completely legit. No one would think twice, especially in the dark. But it's not regular vodka. It's spiked with methanol instead of ethanol. To the taste and smell, it just seems like some cheap bootleg booze. I get in my car and drive off. As I cruise down the empty highway at night, I can't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction, knowing that somewhere, someone is sipping their last drink from a plastic cup. A worthless piece of scum, taking up space on this planet. The next morning at work, everything feels lighter, easier, and somehow more fun.